Hey there, StarCraft fans. It's Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Today it's going to be a match between Last and Mini here on Fighting Spirit. Got this replay off of teamliquid.net on the forums. Like most of my replays, a great place for StarCraft players. In the top left-hand corner, it is the Brown Terran player Last, playing under his Smurf name, Everty Ashley. And in the bottom right, it is the Purple Protoss player Mini, under one of his Smurf names, which all seem to include the word na, which I'm not entirely sure that's a Korean thing, or if it's the English word na, which is just another word for no. More casual, though, right? Hey, you want to come to the park today? Nah, I don't feel like it, you say. Just a little more casual than saying no. No just feels a little bit more formal, a little bit more final. But I think if somebody says nah, then you maybe can convince them to do what you want them to do. Or maybe what they want to do. Anyway, this is going to come up on patreon.com/FalconPaladin a month before it's released on my YouTube channel. So if you're seeing this on, let's see here. Let's say, where are we putting this one? Oh, I know, January 31st. January 31st or like February 1st, then you are a patron. Thank you so much for subscribing on patreon.com/FalconPaladin for as little as $1 a month. That's all it takes to get access to these early uploads, these early casts. They're a ton of fun. If there's something you didn't like from me during the week, there's stuff on Patreon that might fit your need. If you want, for example, another TVP. Hey, it's a TVP with 2 elite players with 500 APM for Last, because Last is stupid good at this game and might possibly be the best Terran player in the world at this point, since Flash is effectively retired, right? And I mean, do you want to be that guy? Do you want to be the guy who's like, I've been around for a long time, but I never actually officially became the dude until the real dude retired? That's rough. That is really rough stuff. Anyway, what are we looking at here? Barracks in production. A gateway over here, too. Doesn't really make sense to go Forge Expand against Terran just because they'll show up with the tank and wreck your face. You want Dragoons. They're more mobile against the tanks. They're able to put pressure on the Terran player. Cannon rushing a Terran player doesn't make a ton of sense either, because they can lift all of their buildings. They just float somewhere else, and all your cannons are here like, we were planning on killing stuff. Anyway, the PvT meta is pretty settled at this point. We're going to get a barracks up because you have no idea what the Protoss player is up to, whether he's going one base and it's early Dragoons or what. But this SCV is scouting. This SCV is scouting. Last really puts a premium on scouting information here on Fighting Spirit, which is a 4-player map. A little bit of a kiss between the probe and the SCV there. They love each other very much. Bet you didn't know that. Did you know that they loved each other very much? Anyway, probe's not getting in there, but does see a couple Marines and says, okay, well, there's at least a couple Marines out. Last has some Korean thoughts. Good scout from the SCV, though, for Last. He's like, hey, how come you get to scout my stuff, but I can't scout your stuff? And the answer is because Last actually invested in some Marines. Oh, the Juke! The Juke gets in, sees the lack of a natural base, says, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I can block it. We're going to block this for as long as we can. We're going to force the Marines to come back home. Throws down a pylon to be even more annoying. And then the Vulture says, get out of the house, and murders it, which is, it's one way to indicate get out of the house. Are you really making zealots? Good game! What the heck, Last? Why are you calling good game here? There's no good game. That's hilarious. I mean, again, you just have to build the command center a little bit off center and then lift and land it. It's not like Zerg, right? Where you have to kill the pylon before you throw down your hatchery, because it being off a little bit is bad for you. Anyway, tank in production here. Is he not getting Singularity Charge? I don't know. That Mini's interested in Singularity Charge. Look at these zealots he's got. He's going to march right in and delay this command center. This early aggression is fantastic out of Mini. I'm enjoying it. He delays the natural base by a ton. He's got a natural of his own back home. The Vulture was out on the map. Now the Vulture's here, and now, I was going to say the Zealots are in trouble, but guess what? Now there's 2 Dragoons. This is incredibly aggressive. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm enjoying it a ton here out of Mini. At the very least, again, he's going to be able to delay the construction for a little bit more. and then is forced to flee with the Marine tank, as Marine tank is really good versus just Dragoons. Singularity Charge is now getting started, but he is by far from rushing to Singularity Charge. Mini is planning on being aggressive. He ain't got no time for Dragoon range, I can tell you that much. How many shots does it take down a tank? Well, 4 Dragoons hammering it at the same time, actually going after the Marines instead, as they are a concern. They do trade really well versus these Dragoons. I'm surprised he didn't try to go for the tanks there. That was an interesting decision. Oh, free SCV if you want it. Oh, chase it, chase it. Ah, it's too fast. A little jetpack on his back. Makes him way too zippy. Robotics facility on the way from Mini. With his, 400 APM, he has higher APM than Last does right now, so that early APM spam doesn't mean anything. You guys know that, right? I've cast at least a couple games where someone is like crazy 500, 600 APM, and then when the game starts, it drops to like 250. So, I mean, yeah, they're still pretty good, but they're not that good. They're not Flash level good, where he's just rolling with 500 APM the entire game. Blah. I do have some replays from players like Boxer and players like Yellow that I am going to try to get fixed. Because I have a whole bunch that are broken that don't load in the current version of the client for Brood War. So I'm trying to get Squeal of Fortune to help me with that. He is just a great dude and has really brought a lot of value to the channel. He is the one that screened all my Brood War cheese for number 3, which if you didn't watch that, look, I understand you probably only like to watch the longer macro-style games, but there is some really exciting stuff in Brood War cheese number 3. We got Flash in there, right? We have Zero in there. We have Yellow in there. The first Yellow game I have ever cast on my channel successfully. We got Hwasin in the mix, one of the greats. I mean, it's stupid. It is a stupid great. A lot of great stuff happens. A lot of weird proxy shenanigans. The Cannon Rush and DTs are involved, and it is fantastic. So go check out Brood War cheese number 3. I promise you won't regret it, even if you normally only enjoy watching the macro stuff, which, I don't know, as somebody who likes to watch StarCraft, I also like the long macro stuff, don't get me wrong. I enjoy it a lot, I like casting it, it's very fun, but every once in a while, a bunch of short games, a bunch of cheesy, sneaky games really hit the spot for me, and that's why I like to cast it. It just doesn't get near the attention that other stuff does on the channel. You guys are just really devoted to macro games. Anyway, heading on down is last. You've got a bunch of tanks, a bunch of vultures. Trying to sneak on in with the vultures, but the wall is real. Now, the tanks don't care about your pylons. So what do? Do you try to wipe these out and maybe come in the front door? Front door seems a little bit better protected. But the tank count is 5, which is really intimidating. Dragoons, go. 8. Every tank shot is a bad tank shot. Zealots are trying to jump on top of these tanks. They can't kill any of them. Okay, one of them does go down to the north, which is nice. Oh, the Dragoon death count is really heavy right now, but 3 tanks remain. A bunch of vultures remain. There is a single shuttle here, which doesn't have anything to drop on these tanks, but I'm not sure they know that. And I think Last feels like he can just win right here against Mini. This is a pretty intimidating push. The Marines are doing some serious damage for someone who's never making Marines again in this game. They did get that 1 tank, which is massive. 2 tanks are much less terrifying than 3 tanks, but they also have the support. Oh my gosh, of these Marines, of these vultures. Turrets are coming up. There's a bunker at the front. I don't know how Mini's going to do this, you guys. Is this a sneaky twofer? That's always the question you need to ask. But this is looking really bad for the Protoss player. The only saving grace he has is that he's got a 3rd base, which he can fall back to. If he can keep the main base alive, maybe he can sack the natural. What is his answer here? It's shuttles in production. Great. It's Dragoons in production. I don't know what it is. I mean, even if it's DTs, there's a missile turret here that just killed an observer. That hurts. We got vultures swinging into this 3rd base to try to kill as many of these probes as they can. Are they walled in here? Can they go around this way? I feel like they can go around this way. But yeah, that's a sack on the natural base. And look at Mini just expanding in the bottom left. He's like, you know what? You can have this one. I understand you're probably on 2 bases considering how many units you have in this push. So let's just sack the natural base, force you to come up a ramp, which you don't want to do. And then maybe try to defend this southern 3rd as much as possible. I just don't know what Mini can do here. He's making a Reaver, which Reaver drops are a way to get him back into this game. But yeah, now the Vultures are inside the house. That Zealot is effectively done. The Probes are fighting. They don't want to fight against Vultures, but they're forced to because otherwise they just die harmlessly. The Vultures are very slowly getting whittled away by these Dragoons. Gonna drop some units on this tank, trying to finish it off. And they're gonna get one of these tanks. There are 3 tanks still remaining here, though. I mean, this is... Man, Last, I think he thinks he has this thing won. He's still making stuff back home. He hasn't stopped producing units or anything. Another tank down is so big. It is so, so big. This Reaver just trying to generate as many Scarabs as it can. And then maybe get a big drop right here and Reaver down. Take down this tank. Ooh, does it have shuttle speed? That was really fast shuttle speed. I like it. I like it for Mini. So again, you're thinking Mini's dead. You know what? It's 47 probes at 51 SCVs. It is still officially a 3-basing Protoss versus a 2-basing Terran. And I got a feeling this Reaver drop is going to do some work for Mini. Look at this wall. Last thinks he has this game won. What a match this is. Ah, big time hits. Big time hits. Another big hit. Nothing here can shoot up. There is a turret in the northern section of this mineral line. Where does he unload the Reaver? He's got to unload the Reaver, right? Is he? Oh, he hides it under the barracks. Oh, that's so good. Massive, massive connections being made here. Mini's getting back into this thing pretty much solely on the back of this one Reaver. SCVs down, 25 SCVs on the field for Last right now to 54 probes. Oh. That is one way to even the score, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. All right, so Last is mad about that. He's going to try to take out the 6 o'clock base. He has enough army for it, I can tell you that much. Trying to Reaver drop on top of these tanks. And you know what? It's working, too. These Reavers, under the control of Mini, are getting the Protoss player not only back in the game, getting him at a fairly distinct advantage in this game. So you unload the Dragoons first to draw the fire of the tanks. And then the Reavers next. And the Reavers get some hits. Oh, did he lose a Reaver? I don't think he's lost a Reaver yet, you guys. I'm not convinced that he has. Oh. Goodness. Should have brought a glass of water to this cast. This has been intense. So he saves the 6 o'clock. He's got 52 probes running. I think most of them are over here in the main, which is incredibly oversaturated, and he is doing a transfer to this 3rd base. Terranville still lives, though. Like, Last still has a massive advantage at this natural base. Tanks are trying to come in and take down the southern base, but that's not happening. I don't think he knows about this. I'm pretty sure this is a sneaky ninja base for Mini. What the heck is unloading and spider mines are connecting on stuff? Anyway, dropping some army down here. It is 107 to 71 supply in favor of Mini. Just the economic advantage. Last went for the 2-base push. It did not work out for him in the long run. Oh my gosh, that Reaver drop though. That one Reaver and that one shuttle. Infinite value. Just crazy amounts of value there. Killed so many SCVs. Really forced Last attention to be back home instead of at the front, which again was taken advantage of here by Mini. And this base, he's not even getting gas from it yet. Or this one. He's just really going heavy on the Zealot play. Last pushing down to the south. Is that another base? Dang, Mini. What is even happening right now? Mini is doing so well in this game. Oh, I don't know about this. He's avoiding the missile turrets as well as he can, but he's flying directly into that one. The SCV pull is good. Is it good enough? Missile turret down. Vultures down. SCVs that stay home are dead, but I'm sure that was part of the deal anyway. Trying to march up into the main base. Wiping out the main base for Mini would be a huge problem. Spider Mines connect! And there's only one Reaver left, and that's not going to be enough. But yeah, looks like with the tank set up inside the main base of Mini, this is not going to stand. So the tank fire and on all these gateways and all of this tech, that hurts for Mini. That hurts a lot for Mini here. He can't save it. I mean, these probes are working, but they're also taking serious hits from these tanks, too. Evacuating them is probably the best move. But the Reavers... Okay, well, all the probes died. Never mind. How about this shuttle? This shuttle could have saved a couple of them anyway. But you're oversaturated down there regardless, so I don't know. Reaver getting a nice hit there. Taking down one of the tanks, but there's still like 10 here, so... good luck with that. 191 supply. Last on 2 bases has been doing this. Last on 2 bases has been macroing this hard on his army. He only has 25 SCVs because he keeps losing them to these daggone Reaver drops. But yeah, the main base is gone. Mini's main, sayonara. We'll catch you next time. No upgrades for the Dragoons. No upgrades for the mech. This is actually enough Vultures to beat this many Dragoons. Like, Dragoons are a really nice answer to Vulture, but as in all things, eventually, if you just don't have enough, you're still going to die. This game might very well just get an epic tag. I mean, the back and forth here, last ability to recover from losing a ton of SCVs, Mini's ability to kind of recover at least a little bit from losing his main base, but the third base is going to die too. Does it really matter? It's only 33 probes remaining for... Wow. 33 probes remaining for Mini here. Oh, he dragged that Spider-Man over to those Marines. That was hot. That was a great move out of Mini. So Mini doesn't really have map control at this stage. He's out here on the map, which is nice. Where's there more tank fire? Are we just hearing this tank fire? Maybe we're hearing this tank fire. Okay, so you're like, well, Mini has lost 3 bases. That's real bad. It's true, but he's also been expanding like a crazy person and has 2 bases left, where Last has never gotten a third. I mean, eventually he's gonna mine out. Eventually he has to take a 3rd base, right? He can't just 2 base this thing forever. God, his tank count is so intimidating. And no upgrades on the way from Last either. What is happening right now? Why does he not have upgrades? I guess maybe if you intended to kill your opponent in the first... Well, still intend to kill your opponent here in the first 10 minutes of the game, 20 minutes of the game, maybe upgrades don't matter as much. Look at this engagement, though. I mean, Mini's doing all he can, but there's just so much Terran. There is so much Terran. This is real bad. Mini is in a terrible way. A terrible way. Anytime your opponent has this many tanks, and you're a Protoss player, or, you know, a Zerg player too, you're just, well... You're not gonna have a good time. I don't even know where the Protoss supply is, to be honest with you. Somehow it's only about 10 under the Terrans. And sure, some of those are probes. So that inflates the Protoss army count a little bit, or just supply count a little bit, right? DTs are in the mix, but there's a turret, 2 turrets right here. DTs are not going to cut it. Last is too good a Terran player to allow that. Alright. Vulture finds sneaky base number 5 that Mini's been going for here. It's just, I mean, he's just producing a million tanks at a time. All Last is doing. You know what? Whittling down his SCV count kind of means he didn't really have to, as the DTs are doing some work here, and then they all die. He didn't mine out as quickly, so maybe he was able to sit here on 2 bases for longer than he normally would, just because he's down at 20 SCVs instead of 50, you know? Makes sense. I still can't believe there are no upgrades for these tanks. And no upgrades for the Protoss either. What a weird match. It's almost like they agreed, okay, no upgrades this game. Let's see who can win. That's your rule, right? I mean, I gotta take my hat off here to Mini for playing this well against Last, who's ridiculously terrifying, who's actually building barracks inside one of these last bases that Mini has, which feels like a BM move, but maybe it gives you anti-air, right? You want to deal with these shuttles somehow, and you're not making Goliaths. Another base coming up in the top right for Mini. I admire Mini's chutzpah. This is so impressive from him, expanding like a crazy person. He's a Reaver dropping at the natural because this is his home now. It's a nice hit off, and Spider-Man combined with Zealot takes down that tank. So it's 26 SCVs for Last. His income is abysmal. Dude, Mini can't win this game, can he? But the fact that he has income and Last doesn't really have income is sort of a big deal right now. The bottom left base is dead. But Mini's insane levels of expanding here have been keeping him alive and keeping him in a position where he can still win this game. It's just, he doesn't have an answer for these tanks. He doesn't have arbiters for stasis, which is kind of what you need once the tank count gets this high. He doesn't have Storm either, which is really useful. You just can't do this with straight gateway units, even if you do have shuttles, and even if you are dropping on top of the tanks with Zealots. Where are these probes long-distance mining? There you go. Stay home. Stay home, my friends. This Vulture count, they're looking for bases, they're looking for stuff to kill, and there's really nothing protecting these dudes. It's got a forge, but... Alright, so Last brings his SCVs down in the natural base. He is mining heavily from this now. How long will this last is the question. Not too long. We're looking at about 200 minerals max on any... Oh, I guess that one has 400. On most of those mineral clusters. Has he retaken the 6 o'clock? Mini? I am inspired by your perseverance. A lesser Protoss would have just given up when this happened. But not you. Not you. You're actually putting up an offensive at this stage of the game. Trying to take down tanks. Trying to take down as many of these SCVs as you can. Maybe getting a missile turret too. And then pulling back. Where are these probes heading? I guess they recognize this left side base is dead. This has just been sort of the game of Mini being a hermit crab, right? Has a base. It's under attack, so he abandons it and creates a new base. Or finds a new base to make his home. I am sort of shocked that Last hasn't taken a third base yet. I'm gonna throw that out there. Is there anything? Yeah, there are. There's. Okay. All right. That is a way. You have to sacrifice some Zealots, but if you can drag some Spider Mines into the Terran army, you're gonna be all right. Third base would be nice. Last. Do me a favor, get a third base. Gateway, 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 gateway. Really, all he needs are gateway units. I'm not sure he ever got legs. Oh, no, those are fast Zealots. Okay. We're good. Legs are here. It's 91 to 69 supply, 91 to 70 supply, 24 to 25 workers at 23 minutes. This game is bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-S. This game is bananas. Look at him shuttling probes down to the retaken 6 o'clock. This is such a crazy game from Mini. I don't even... Alright, what are we doing here? What is happening? He's killing tanks is what's happening. He's taking spider mines in the face is what's happening. He killed that spider mine, but then it killed him. 50 to 79 supply. 58 to 79 supply. Mini's kind of consistently down about 20 supply here. Sneaky base and sneaky base are very sneaky. Get to work. Get to work, probes. I know you're busy microing somewhere else with your 350 APM. Zealots are trying to jump on top of one of these tanks. God, it's not going to work out, though. These probes do get to work. This is the best game of hide and seek I have ever cast. I don't know if it gets an epic tag, but this is the best game of hide and seek I've ever done. Okay, third base for Last up north. This might be the nail in the coffin. He has a new source of income after mining out his main base and his natural base entirely. Third base at 24 minutes with his 21 SCVs. The tank count is not as heavy as it used to be, but there are still enough to do that. He forced an unsiege. Dude, is he going to go try to wipe out these SCVs at this base? He's going to try. But, I mean, there's enough defending, and, I mean, How many times does your home have to get destroyed before you decide it's not worth rebuilding another home, right? There just aren't enough zealots. There isn't enough storm. There's no stasis here. And that's your good game. Mini taps right out in 25 minutes and 12 seconds. He did his darndest, ladies and gentlemen. And at the end of the day, he had created 6 bases to the 3 of last. He just barely got this 3rd base and last one because tanks are good and because Mini never really got to the tech he needed to handle this many tanks. He never kept the tank count down either. Like, those are things you have to do. We've talked about that before on the channel, but wow, that was a fun game. Really, really fun game. I mean, just the number of SCVs that died, the number of probes that died in that game alone is astronomical for a 25-minute match. Greatly enjoyed it. All right, so we know what happened. We know what happened in that match. Let's check out the final score. 126,000 points for last, 108 for Mini. Outproduced, outkilled, and outlost units did last year compared to Mini. Structures raised as all the Protoss buildings died. And then resources here actually mined more gas than last did, mined more minerals than last did, and spent about 9,000 or more resources than last did. But tanks are incredibly cost efficient. You got to deal with them in better ways than just having shuttles and zealots and dragoons and DTs. You got to have storm. You got to have stasis. You got to have something to break that group up. If you don't have it, it's not going to happen. And he was just never anywhere long enough to get to that tech all that well. The natural base died. The main base died. The 3rd base died. The 4th and the 5th bases all died. And he was just trying to stay alive. He didn't have the whole time to tech up, is what it was. But if he did have some time to tech up, it could have been a different match. Could have been. All right, well, that's going to be it from me. This has been Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.